BKB-SF with his Satanic, super tanky items. Let's go ahead and stand our ground in BKB, and let's just instantly die. So, this is not how you want to play against Marcy. You want to buy disabling items, halberds, sheep sticks, force staffs, ghost scepters. Like on SF, you'd want to go the Yule's magic damage build and burst her full to 0. On carries, do not aim to stand your ground. It is simply not possible. So as long as they've left her the way she is, until they've nerfed her, please, for the love of God, do not have your plan to be to stand there and hit her, because she will kill you. So I highly recommend any kiting items that just buy enough time to delay her ultimate, because that is what will happen if you allow her to utilize her ultimate to the fullest.
Until they've nerfed her.
She did get nerfed again today. I don't believe these nerfs make her not broken. Obviously, it's a little less broken, but we're going to talk about them real quick. So they lowered the damage on dispos. Honestly, the ability is pretty much only for stunning people. They reduced the stun duration at level 1, which is necessary for her laning stage, but it honestly doesn't hurt too much for what I'm about to show you. You didn't really take the dispose stun duration talent at 15 most of the time anyways. The rebound cooldown doesn't really affect her in the laning phase, but it definitely affects her later on, I would say mainly. You don't care about the extra 2 seconds early, but you definitely care about the extra 2 seconds when you're jumping around in fights. The unleash cooldown will definitely be noticeable. So you have more time to play around it as the opponent team, especially level 1. I think the 70 seconds level 3 is not a huge deal, but the 110 seconds level 1 is definitely a big deal. The unleash time between Fury Swipe combos means Fury combos means it takes a little bit longer to reset yourself. Still absolutely terrifying, but a little bit longer between the terrifying phases. And then the level 20 talent for the spell immunity got moved to 25, but it also applies a basic dispel, which is much better when you consider it, because it didn't previously remove roots or debuffs in general, so now it will. But then the sidekick lifesteal got moved to 20 and reduced to 25%. You might actually take the movement speed depending on the game. But yeah, so they did nerf Marcy a little bit. She's still broken.
Banana slam jam.
So far, Marcy has proven to be quite strong. Out of all the newly released heroes, she's definitely up there as one of the most broken. All of my 11 games with Marcy have been first picked. One of them was a treant on my team, quelling blading me and losing. So, justice in the world. So we're effectively 8-2 with Marcy. I think she can be played in most roles, but I do think she's the best as a 1 and a 3. And we're going to be talking about exactly what makes her so broken in this video, and how you guys can look to deal with it and capitalize on it. So first and foremost, we're going to target her laning phase. So for context, this is a pretty high rated game. This is Lion's top 100 support players. He's a pretty good player. And the problem with Marcy in the offlane, we're going to specifically target Marcy offlane right now, is that her Q and W are pretty insane. Her Q displaces people, and her W gives her a pretty massive range to gap close. So a big mistake a lot of support players are making in the laning phase is that they do what they normally do, which is the correct move most lanes, where the support plays on the side, looks to wrap around the offlaner, and zone out the 4, potentially scouting out the 4, trade with the 4, all that kind of stuff. And what you're going to see here is what happens when you do that against Marcy offlane. So trading on the side as you see normal support things, and Marcy just jumps from the lane, immediate line of the support, and what you see is a carry that tries to come over and help, that's me, but it just doesn't happen quick enough because I have to walk all the way over here, and Marcy just instantly jumps. So this is a mistake that you see pretty commonly against Marcy, and so the best way to play support if you are laning against Marcy is to just be with your carry. Either be pulling so that you're so far away from Marcy that she can't actually get to you, or to be actually laning with your carry. Maybe a bunch of you out there that are thinking, just because that's a squishy lion, he got caught out of position because he's a ranged hero. Well, let's find out what happens when you're a very beefy melee hero like Ogre, 7 armor, pretty good amount of HP. Well, I'm going to walk over, do the similar thing you saw Lion do, and Marcy just jumps over and tosses me back into danger, and I'm going to go down full to 0. So this concept reigns true with whatever support you're playing. And another note to have is the best supports in the game tend to be ones that threaten Marcy once she jumps in. So if you're a hero with a slow, that's not very good. You have to treat her like an Ursa, that instead of kiting her with slows like you do in Ursa, you stun her once she jumps you. So when I was Ogre, I regretted not leveling my Fire Blast, and Lion, in the other example, had Impaled to trade with the Skywrath Mage. So it's all about being close to your carry, and then having a stun that you can respond with once Marcy uses her jump to get on you, because most stuns are pretty worthless if she still has her rebound available, and if she hasn't used it yet, then there's no reason to exactly stun her either. So heroes that do long-range damage that are also difficult to hit, or they have a stun. So examples are Willow, Weaver, as heroes that are hard to hit in the support role, or heroes like Lion, Ogre, that have stuns, but then saving them for when Marcy actually jumps you. I also like AA if you're specifically against core Marcy, because she does like to utilize the sustain from her third spell plus ult to man fight in the late game. But I did play it against support Marcy earlier today because the person rotated to support and got absolutely pwned. So AA is not very good unless you're picking it against core Marcy. So that's the broken part of her laning phase. And if you ask me, they have two ways that they can nerf Marcy. They're either going to nerf these two spells, turning her purely into a core, because these are her support-esque laning dominance spells, or they're going to nerf these two spells, which are her major damage, sustain, man-up abilities, and she'll become mainly a support. That's addressing her laning phase, what makes her so strong early. So the type of heroes that Marcy struggles with in the lane are ones that get up in her face and aren't afraid of her. And so especially early, this is tanky boys like Titan Hunter, Timbersaw, etc. So in this lane, I made the mistake of leveling Rebound, looking to go on a kill with Disruptor over here, and it didn't end up working out. So the issue with this is that because I leveled Rebound, I don't really threaten the offlaner, and I get to right-click him a little bit, but the rest of the lane, look at what he's playing, like up in my face, denying me CS, and a lot about carry on any hero is about securing that early CS. So notice how much I'm missing because Tide's constantly playing in my face. Right when Marcy came out, I was maxing my W with my E and Rebound as well as Sidekick, just thinking, let's play for the sustain and secure creeps build. It did work pretty well, but a lot's changed since the first day of Marcy, and I'll show you what I've learned to make sure you can abuse broken Marcy in the laning phase. Now that I've learned my lesson on not leveling Rebound, I do have Dispose as Marcy, and this is basically just a free skewer back into tower anytime it's near your tower. Lane equilibrium on Marcy is super important, as it is going to set up this. So if you're an offlaner, pulling it back towards your tower, very important. If you're a safe laner, keeping it in front of your tower, very important. So you saw how the Tide was up in my grill, trying to deny the creeps. Well, Bloodseeker is going to attempt the same thing, and he's just going to get tossed into tower range and effectively take about 350 damage, level 1, with only 90 mana expended. So this is the way you dominate a lane in the safe lane. If you keep it near your tower at all times, they'll never be able to walk up, and you can always threaten to throw them back in. So even though they reduce the stun level 1 in the nerfs, it doesn't really matter all that much because of the fact that most of the time you're using it, it's more so for the displacement, where you're throwing them back into your teammate, or you're throwing them back into the tower. And now we're going to show you conceptually what she does later on in the game, and how you can best deal with it. So let's have a little talk about Marcy in the mid to late game. Marcy's a pretty simple hero when it comes to the mid and late game. When she ults, you run. If she's allowed to hit you, she's going to murder everybody. So the way to deal with this hero is oftentimes looking to commit her onto her to make her ult, or bursting her full to 0. And in the case of the first one where you don't kill her, you immediately disengage. Because her ultimate, albeit only a 60-second cooldown, does have only a 16-second duration. So it's kind of like a Sven ulti, that if you just back off for a bit and then fight them afterwards, it's generally the best option. But this has been known to be pretty hard to get your teammates to do. So let's quickly look at her items. This is a carry Marcy. I've seen Battle Furies. I've seen Armlet as a more aggressive item. I've seen pretty much always one damage item, BKB, Basher, and a Daedalus. I think late game I like to go for a Blink, so you can make sure you get on top of people. And sometimes I go for a Silver Edge in order to position myself for the Blink, and it's also kind of like a Daedalus because it gives you that crit. So this is the way that Marcy's are itemizing. Notice how we're up by 5k right now, And this is generally speaking what's going to happen if you try to go on Marcy. Don't kill her, and she's allowed to hit you during ult. So we're going to find Marcy with Rupture. Going to try to kill her after she BKB TPs out here. We get the bash, and he turns around, uses his Q on me, and then pretty much full to zeros me here. Yep, as I can't move because I'm getting bashed and slowed by the pulses. Then he's going to turn around and also kill my Earth Spirit. 1v4, he took out 2 heroes while losing by 6k gold. So this is pretty common for Marcy. So you want to force her to use defensive abilities and items such as BKB and her ultimate, and then you want to back off. Unless you think you can kill her full to zero. But obviously the hero is incredibly broken. So what this also means is that you don't want to buy items that are intended to stand your ground against Marcy. The best items in the game are ones that prevent her from hitting you for a few seconds. Just buying yourself a few seconds of time, because if you manage to kite her ulti, she's honestly quite useless. So we're talking Ghost Scepters, we're talking Force Staves, Yule Scepters, Halberds, Glimmer Capes, whatever it takes, just get away from her, as that's all it really takes to take her down. So what you're going to see here is a misunderstanding of Marcy coming out from my SF. All flame aside, this seems like a pretty standard right-click carry build by my SF. He's got a BKB, Silver Edge, and a Satanic. What this build says is I'm going to stand my ground and hit you. I'm going to tell you right now, that just doesn't work against Marcy unless you're basically Ursa, maybe Troll Warlord because of the fact that your axes make her miss, and with Ursa, you have 80% damage reduction, so she's not actually lifestealing against you. But other than that, that's about it. So let's find out if you try to, quote-unquote, stand your ground against our lovely Marcy hero. SF with the BKB, Satanic, he's just going to die. Actually, he manages to pop his Satanic, actually heals back to full, and dies full to zero again to Marcy. So this is not the way to go. You want to control her with Sheepsticks and Bashers, or burst her with magic damage builds. You do not want to go toe-to-toe with Marcy. It does not work, people. So my best picks in the carry role are Ursa as well as Troll. My best picks in the mid lane are really anything that's going to jump her from long range. The Spirits, anything mobile that's hard for her to lock down. My favorite picks in the off lane are ones that do continuous disables or are difficult to hit. So my best ones are Mars, Slardar, as well as Necrophos, because of Ghost Shroud, as well as the ability to buy Halberd. Any innate Halberd builders feel really good. Tide also feels really nice in lane. A hero like Doom would be good as well. But you don't want to go for the tanky route. You want to go for the early game tanky route because she lacks damage early to mid game. But in the late game, you're itemizing to just make her not attack you. The best draft that I've had against Marcy specifically when she was played as core, if you guys want to see like the perfect example, is a lot of single target fuck you. Because Marcy is an Ursa that is, instead of being very tanky, she's very mobile. So you want to stun lock her, prevent her from being able to move freely. So the best ways is punishing her BKB timing. She pretty much always goes for second, third item BKB because she does enough damage with just 1 or 2 damage items. So if you look at our lineup, it's a lot of single target physical damage between the Slardar, TA, as well as Ursa. You don't lifesteal off of TA Refraction. You don't lifesteal off of Ursa's Enrage. And then it's really hard to hit Weaver. And then a lot of disable coming out from the line. So this is the archetype of hero that you want to go for against Marcy. This Marcy was pretty much useless this entire game, despite having a really good laning stage, because you saw what happened earlier. It's the same replay with the Ursa line. Another honorable mention of heroes that are very good against Marcy is Bloodseeker, because she's similar to Void Spirit, where she has mobility that is countered by Rupture, and it's been noticeably doing really well against her for that reason. So I hope you guys, learn a little bit of how to deal with Marcy and what makes her super broken right now. And that's it for me. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that BS. Jay. I made that same joke earlier, but I had to re-record this video. And it's even better the second time. See you guys. My viewer is asking me why I went Silver instead of Daedalus. So what I see is that the guy that's taking all of my farm has died with no buyback. and they are pushing my base. So I'm currently in the deliberation of, do I go Satanic, do I go Abyssal, do I go Daedalus, or do I go Silver Edge? And there is only one item out of all 4 of those that I can buy from base. So I realize, oh shit, they're about to push our base. I should buy an item. And I can only buy one of those 4 items. So I bought it.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. I've been wanting this. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
A few moments later.
The enemy's middle tower has been destroyed. To the dire go the spoils.
There you go. What would you buy if you bought something from Secret Shop? Honestly, I would probably buy an MKB. If I could buy anything from the Secret Shop.